I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. As we await special counsel Jack Smith's charging decisions regarding Donald Trump's theft of thousands of government records, including top secret and sensitive compartmented records and other highly classified records that Trump concealed and obstructed justice at Mar-A-Lago, we are learning more and more about the very powerful evidence that special counsel Jack Smith has amassed. Last week, for example, we learned about this maintenance worker who works at Mar-A-Lago. This maintenance worker had told special counsel Jack Smith's lawyers and investigators that on June 2nd, he was moving boxes with another one of the staffers at Mar-A-Lago, somebody by the name of Walt Nauta, who actually previously worked at the White House. This maintenance worker said that he saw Walt Nauta moving these boxes on June 2nd. They looked very heavy. He wanted to help out. He didn't realize that the very next day, on June 3rd, Donald Trump's lawyers, Evan Corcoran and Christina Bobb, invited the Department of Justice and specifically the top counterintelligence official at the DOJ to show up at Mar-a-Lago in response to the May 2022 subpoena that was issued by the Department of Justice. And Corcoran and Christina Bobb showed the top counterintelligence official at the DOJ the storage facility, said you can't open up the boxes, but here you go. We've got this red weld folder. We identified 38 classified records. These are all of the remaining classified records. And then Corcoran and Bobb returned it to the DOJ. Christina Bobb signed an attestation saying after a diligent search, all of the classified records were returned. Of course, that was a false attestation because we know on August 8th, 2022, when the Department of Justice executed a search warrant, they found over 100 classified records and thousands of other government records. So this maintenance worker just said, hey, I saw Walt Nauta carrying heavy boxes on June 2nd. I knew nothing about any of that other stuff. And I just said to Walt Nauta, hey, can I help you move these boxes? It looks very heavy, but I didn't realize there was classified information in there or that they were moving records around because the DOJ was going to be showing up the next day. Well, we're learning more information now about that maintenance worker, and that in July of 2022, the maintenance worker seemed to get very nervous. What happened around that time? Well, the Department of Justice sent another subpoena to Donald Trump and the staff at Mar-a-Lago asking for the surveillance footage at Mar-a-Lago. And so this maintenance worker, this is what we're now learning, was asking the IT officials, hey, how do the surveillance cameras work? And how frequently do they get deleted? What angles do they capture? Where does the surveillance footage go? Now, the maintenance worker said, look, the reason I was asking these questions of IT, it was innocent. I just was curious. I wanted to know the way the systems work. But the Department of Justice and the FBI are not buying that because there have been real problems about the integrity of the surveillance footage system at Mar-a-Lago. So what happened was the Department of Justice, after they showed up in June of 2022, they sent a subpoena thereafter asking for the surveillance footage at Mar-a-Lago. They received the surveillance footage. They reviewed the surveillance footage. That's how they found out the day before they showed up in June of 2022, you had Walt Nauta and this maintenance worker moving the boxes around. They saw that on the surveillance footage.
One of my favorite comedy podcasts, Love It or Leave It, is a liberal fever dream term variety show recorded live on stage and delivered to your ears every Saturday. Now, each episode, host John Lovett is joined by an all-star lineup of comedians, journalists, and experts to break down the week's most absurd headlines in news, politics, and pop culture. Come for the wacky games and surprise characters. Stay for the unexpected rants about the Supreme Court Justice Sugar Daddy Harlan Crow. Now, not only can you listen to the show on your favorite podcast platform, but you can also catch the funniest bits on Love It or Leave It YouTube channel. How's that for convenience? Highly recommend checking it out and subscribing today.
But the surveillance footage also appeared to have been tampered with. There seems to be gaps in the surveillance footage, and very suspicious gaps. That's why Special Counsel Jack Smith also called before the grand jury people like Matt Calamari Sr. and Matt Calamari Jr., who are in charge of the security at Mar-A-Lago, to ask them questions about whether or not the surveillance footage was deleted and what happened to it. And there's been this really big report that just broke on the Washington Post about this surveillance footage and about this maintenance workers' interactions with IT officials, because it seems like Special Counsel Jack Smith really feels that this surveillance footage was tampered with by or at the request of Donald Trump. Here's the Washington Post article. It's called Mar-A-Lago Prosecutors Eye July Episode with Trump Surveillance Cameras. Summer interactions inside Trump's home and private club are part of the special counsel's classified document investigation. The article goes on to say how a Mar-a-Lago employee who helped move boxes of documents last June of 2022, has been questioned about his conduct weeks later relating to the government demand for surveillance footage from Donald Trump's property, according to a person familiar with the federal probe. This employee's actions in June and July have caught the attention of Special Counsel Jack Smith, and rightfully so. The Washington Post reported last week that the employee was questioned repeatedly by investigators because this maintenance worker was seen moving the boxes the day before the Department of Justice showed up on June 3rd of 2022. But then the article says authorities have also examined events in mid-July surrounding a different subpoena which sought footage from security cameras on the property. Around that time, this employee, whose name has not yet been identified, allegedly had a conversation with an IT worker at the site about how the security cameras worked, how long the images remain stored in the system, and other information about how the security system works. The employee later told investigators that this was just simply an innocent conversation and he was not trying to hide anything, but Special Counsel Jack Smith and his investigators are not buying that. It should be noted that that maintenance worker's lawyer, yes, that maintenance worker has a lawyer, and guess who hired the lawyer? Donald Trump is paying for that lawyer through one of Donald Trump's political action committees. The lawyer is named John Irving, who did not comment to the Washington Post. But this is becoming a major focus of Special Counsel Jack Smith's investigation. What's going on with Donald Trump's staff moving these boxes? What do they do with the surveillance footage? Do they have the full surveillance footage right now? And we need more information about the specific role of this maintenance worker. So we will keep you posted, of course, as we learn more here on the MeidasTouch network. But some big information, some big evidence that Special Counsel Jack Smith is developing, that this maintenance worker asking the IT staff, as he did, for more information about the way the system works. We'll keep you posted, of course, here on the MeidasTouch network. I'm Ben Meiselas. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch, and wherever you get podcasts, subscribe to the MeidasTouch podcast. Have a great day.
Lock him up. Indictment season is upon us. Celebrate with the new Indictment Season t-shirt and v-neck exclusively at store.MeidasTouch.com.